getting those into the waiting room. You're good to start.
All righty. Calling to order the Monday, November 16th, 2020 regular meeting of the 38th Council of the City of Berkeley. Ms. Harold, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Baker,
With council by candlelight, this is Steve Baker here. I'm reporting to you live from the dark portions of Berkley, Michigan. Cheers.
Councilmember Blanchard,
Jack Blanchard here from Berkley, Michigan.
Mayor Pro Tem Dean,
Bridget Dean reporting in from Troy, Michigan.
Councilmember Gavin,
Ross Gavin, Berkley, Michigan.
Councilmember Hennon,
Again, with power.
Here from Berkley, Michigan.
Councilmember Price,
Natalie Price in Berkley, Michigan this evening.
and Mayor Turbrack.
I am here and I'm also in Berkley, Michigan this evening. Our first order of business tonight is the approval of our agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion to approve by Mayor Pro Tem Dean with support from Councilmember Baker. Are there any changes or corrections? Seeing no changes or corrections? Maybe? No? Ms. Harold, would you please call the roll?
Blanchard, Blanchard, Councilmember Jack Blanchard,
Jack you may have to call in.
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
Hennon,
Yes.
Price,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
and Turbrack.
Yes. At this time, please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. With us this evening is Pastor Adam Groh.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Let's pray. God, we're thankful for this evening, the chance to gather across Zoom, and even in this environment that we're in, we can still gather and do the work of the city for the good of the city. So we ask your blessing on this evening. We pray your blessing on the council members here and their families and all the sacrifice that they give to our city. Would you bless them and use them to do great things and decide great things for our city. God, we pray for the city of Berkeley. We pray for I looked at today, the 100+ people in our city who have COVID right now. We pray for their healing. We pray for their protection and families' protection. We just pray that you would end this virus as quickly as possible. But until that happens, we pray your protection over all of us, and particularly on our public safety as they continue to answer calls and protect the city. We pray for our teachers who continue to teach in a difficult environment. We pray that you would just give them just the energy and freshness that they need to continue their great work. We just ask your blessing on this evening, that you would just give wisdom and discernment to the members tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Please remain standing for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have reached our first public comment section of the evening. Remember that there are 2 public comments in our virtual world. This is for items that are included on tonight's agenda. Again, you may present your thoughts on issues that are going to be covered on today's agenda. Council members will not engage you in discussion, but if your concern needs to be addressed by a member of city staff or a department of the city, please email the clerk's office at clerk@berkleymich.net. or call the clerk's office at 248-658-3310. If you would like to comment, please raise your hand either physically or virtually, and you will be recognized by either name or your phone number. When you speak, please state your name and city of residence. You will be limited to 3 minutes. You will be muted after that, and the phone number to dial in, again, 1-312-626-6799, 1-312-626-6799. Ms. Mathis, I'm just looking at you.
Yeah, I'm giving people a little bit of an opportunity if they need to raise their hand physically in their screen or
Okay.
raise hand function. I'm not seeing anyone at this time, though.
Okay. Well, Ms. Harold, I believe you did have a communication to be entered, so I'll let you read the email that you received today, and then if there's anybody else, we'll have one more opportunity.
Okay. So we received a correspondence from Paul Jordan of Berkley in favor of allowing permeable/semi-permeable pavement and against any type of tax abatement/forgiveness on the La Salette property.
Okay. Thank you. And if there's anybody else that would like to comment, now is the time to raise your hand, virtually or not virtually, I guess, and Ms. Mathis will call you by name or number. Seeing nobody else, doesn't appear to be. Okay,
No,
3, 2, 1. All right, with that, we will close the public comment section tonight, and we will move on to our order of business. First up is our consent agenda. Ms. Harold, would you please read the items on tonight's consent agenda?
Approval of the minutes, matter of approving the minutes of the 38th regular city council meeting on Monday, October 19th, 2020. Warrant, matter of approving warrant number 1356. Ordinance number O-15-20, matter of considering the second reading and adoption of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Berkley, Michigan to add new section 138 through 226 to Chapter 138 zoning of the City of Berkley zoning ordinance to allow parking requirement modifications during site plan review. Ordinance number O-16-20, matter of considering the second reading and adoption of an ordinance of the City Council, City of Berkley, Michigan to amend Division 7 of Article 6 of Chapter 138 zoning of the City of Berkley Code of Ordinances to modify site plan review procedure.
Is there a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion to approve by Councilmember Blanchard with support from Councilmember Hennon. Are there any corrections, additions, or removals? Okay, seeing everybody shaking their head in no direction. Ms. Harold, would you please call the roll on tonight's consent agenda?
Dean,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
Hennon,
Yes.
Price,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Blanchard,
Yes.
Turbrack.
Yes. Consent agenda has passed. We now move on to our regular agenda. Ms. Harold, would you please read item number 1 on our regular agenda?
Resolution number R-41-20, matter of adopting rules for electronic meetings.
Is there a motion to approve R-4120?
So moved.
Support.
Motion made, I believe, by Mayor Pro Tem Dean and support from Councilmember Gavin. Mr. Baumgarten.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In light of the new laws passed concerning virtual meetings and the Open Meetings Act itself, City attorney's office got to work on creating a set of standards for these types of meetings that is consistent with the updated state statute. So these are submitted before you this evening. These would govern our rules as we go through the end of the year, and then hopefully we're able to move past that as well and have a couple meetings in all the way into March. So these would be our standing orders for this type of format.
Mr. Attorney, anything you would like to add?
Just briefly, I think Mr. Baumgarten covered it pretty well. These rules are lifted largely from the recently amended Open Meetings Act. They very closely follow the rules that we've already been operating under in terms of the governor's executive orders over the spring and summer. A couple of principal differences I just want to bring to your attention, one of which you've already implemented, which is we need to announce, council members need to announce their location when participating remotely, and I applaud you all of you for handling that so well this evening. We'll just need to get used to doing that for every meeting. And then there are just some rules about when we have to have agendas available to the public and that sort of thing. And as of right now, everything changes as of January 1. I've got to believe that given the bad direction that the COVID numbers and statistics have been trending of late, that the state legislature will revisit the December 31st cutoff for our ability to hold virtual meetings, or else we'll have to consider a plan B, if you will, to continue doing that. So those are the main things. I do want to point out to you that in these proposed rules, I did in the very last rule add something that is not straight out of the Open Meetings Act, but I thought it would be helpful, and that is that by adoption of these rules, the council would also be applying these electronic meeting rules to all our other boards and commissions that operate under the Open Meetings Act, so that they do not have to separately and independently do the same. I just thought it was easier to do it this way. So that's my explanation, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions for our city attorney regarding our new electronic rules? Okay, seeing none, they are relatively straightforward as we discussed. This is something that we need to do. And as the attorney mentioned, we've already seen one slight tweak, and we were able to navigate that okay at the beginning of today's meeting, and I anticipate that should not be much of an issue moving forward. Seeing no additional questions or hands raised, thank you for putting this together and making sure that we are following the correct rules. Ms. Harold, would you please call the roll on R4120?
Gavin,
Yes.
Hennon,
Yes.
Price,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Blanchard,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Turbrack.
Yes. We now move on to item number 2, please.
Motion number M-63-20. Motion to authorize the city manager to enter into an ambulance service agreement between the city of Berkley and Alliance Mobile Health. In consideration of the services to be performed by the ambulance service under this agreement, the city shall pay the ambulance service for the term of this agreement the sum of $1 annually. This agreement shall be effective for term commencing 7 a.m. December 1st, 2020 for a 3-year term ending 6:59 a.m. December 1st, 2023.
Is there a motion to approve M6320?
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion to approve by Councilmember Blanchard with support from Councilmember Price. Mr. Baumgarten?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This, as you know, we've been working with Alliance Mobile Health for quite a while now. The agreement that you have included in your packet, along with a memo from Chief Kane, is gone relatively unchanged since at least about 2012 per the Chief Kane's records. His department works most closely with Alliance Mobile Health. He has been complimentary of their service as well as their response times. And we would recommend we continue our existing relationship with Alliance Mobile Health. Chief Kane is in attendance with us this evening, and he can speak to this item.
Chief, anything you'd like to add, please?
Yes, good evening, everyone. And Vince from Alliance Mobile Health is also on the line if we have any questions for him. As Mr. Baumgarten stated, we are very happy with the service. We were at a fire today in Oak Park, and Alliance was there on standby for us. A couple quick numbers for you. Alliance so far this year through the end of October has responded to 855 medicals in our city. About half and half were priority 1s and priority 3, which are higher priority and lower priority. They have a 98, if you'll notice in the contract, their goal is 90% under 6 minutes for priority 1s and 90% under 15 minutes for priority 3s. And they're hitting at a 98%. The average response time for priority 1s is 4.24 minutes. 4 minutes and 24 seconds, and for priority 3s are 7 minutes and 37 seconds. And again, we work very well with them, and it's been a great relationship, and we're actually going to pay them the dollar this time also.
Thank you, Chief Vince. I see. Thank you for being with us this evening. We've heard the chief talk about the tremendous response time that we've had and the relationship that we've had. Anything you'd like to add from Alliance's perspective?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would just like to add that it's been a pleasure and an honor to work with the city of Berkeley. We love working there. Many of our staff live there. We love working with your crews. You've got an outstanding public safety department, and your citizens are top notch as well. So we just appreciate the opportunity to work with you. So thank you very much.
Vince, it almost sounds like you're looking for $2 next time this comes up. But no, thank you. I appreciate that. Council members, questions for either the chief or Vince regarding our relationship with Alliance?
I'd like to make a quick comment, Mr. Mayor.
Sure, certainly. Councilmember Blanchard.
I'd just like to compliment Alliance, working with them on a number of events where they provide support for us, and working with them on a number of training activities. They do an excellent job. They've got top-notch people, and I think we're lucky to have them supporting us in our city. So I'm looking forward to supporting this motion.
Thank you, Councilmember Blanchard. Any other comments? Seeing none, I think what Councilmember Blanchard said is, I'm willing to let him speak for me on that. We are very happy with the relationship and the response time. And, I know whenever I'm, driving around the city, and I occasionally will see an Alliance vehicle in a parking lot somewhere, and I know it's not too far away. Should that call ever be from somebody in my house, I am very confident that they will be here in a very timely manner. So thank you for being with us this evening, Vince. Thank you, Chief. Without any further ado, Ms. Harold, would you please call the roll on M6320?
Tennant,
Yes.
Price,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Blanchard,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
Herbrack.
Yes. We now move on. Ms. Harold, would you please read item number 3 on tonight's agenda?
Motion number M-64-20. Matter of authorizing the purchase 12 Motorola APX 6000 XE public safety portable radios, 12 XE remote speaker microphones, 12 single unit Impress 2 battery chargers, 1 APX 6500 dual control head mobile radio with installation, and 13 permanent mount vehicular battery chargers with installation from ComSource Inc. 41271 Concept Drive, Plymouth, Michigan 48170 at a price not to exceed $84,134.85 from the radio equipment account 101-310-984-000. This purchase will be from the state of Michigan's extending purchase contract number 190000001544.
Is there a motion to approve M6420?
So moved.
Support.
Motion to approve by Councilmember Gavin with support from Mayor Pro Tem Dean. Mr. Baumgarten, would you like to kick it off?
Yes, sir. And then Chief Kane is definitely going to be your expert on this item. As Chief Kane included in his memo, this is part of the countywide system that we'll be participating in. It's used by all jurisdictions except for Southfield Police and Fire. So we have interoperability for all of our mutual aid partners by continuing to participate in the countywide radio program. You have an extensive amount of information in your packet for this. Not only is there a memo from Chief Kane, but we also have the bids as well as specs for the various types of equipment that will be utilized in this system. Chief Kane is actually on the group that has been working diligently to select this system. So not only is he coming to you with his normal amount of expertise, but it's even more so this time since he's been on the selection committee for this. So he has a ton of wonderful information for you this evening.
Chief, we'll turn it over to you.
Great, thank you. The current radio system we have now is well past end of life. It's over 10 years old now. We can't get any more parts, and as it says in the memo, I won't go into detail, but it's failing us. So this system, a lot of really smart people have been involved, and this is definitely the way to go. The MPSC and the P25 system are nationwide systems, where the system we're on now is really a proprietary system. So we are really looking forward to having better coverage and better building penetration, which we have issues now. The way this works is a big portion of the equipment is being funded by 911 surcharge. However, there wasn't enough to cover everything that every department needed. So we figure we're getting about $600,000 worth of equipment, including 2 radio consoles, which are about $100,000 each, and a lot of other equipment. So we are just purchasing the above and beyond we need. We didn't have enough portable radios for all of our personnel, and we don't have enough mobile radios for all of our cars. So that's what this purchase is. This is the first part one, if you will. We had actually budgeted $75,000 for next fiscal year and the year after, and I had asked Mr. Baumgart and Mr. Pollack to move both those projects up a year because it's actually coming faster than we anticipated, which is absolutely a good thing. The bulk of the equipment we need will be purchased in this order. Motorola and ComSource has a additional 10% discount up to anything purchased before December 1st, which helps us also. We're going to be saving about $8,500 on this purchase. So these are intrinsically safe. I can go on and on. I'm really excited about this. Kind of a geek when it comes to this, but it'll be much safer for both our personnel and the citizens we serve.
Well, thank you, Chief. And questions for the Chief? I know there's a lot to unpack here in this item. Councilmember Hennon?
Yes. How long do we anticipate these units to be in service?
I'm glad you said that because that's something I forgot to mention. This, the way Mr. Bob Dado from the Oakland County Executive's Office, the way he packaged it is this system should be a good 10 years, if not longer, but it's designed to self-fund its own replacement. So if you, and anybody has heard Mr. Dado talk, after about 30 seconds, he loses me, but it's designed to self-fund its own replacement. So we're anticipating a good 10 years out of this. The warranties do not, that's 10 years from July of 2022. The warranties do not start till that time either. So anything we buy now the warranty will not start till the system's in systems in place. And we also anticipate being a pilot department. So we're hopefully going to be the first public safety department on the system in Oakland County.
Okay, thank you.
Additional questions, Jack? I know you had a lot of specs to go through. It's not vehicle specs, but I didn't know if there's anything you wanted to mention.
It was intentional. I'm sure you knew that.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, I would just like to make a couple of comments. One is that we sorely need these radios. Just as an example, the last time that we had a street art fest, both the chief and I were on the current radio system within 100 yards of each other and couldn't talk to one another. It's just some flukes in the way this radio system works. That sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. We greatly need that. These are very expensive radios. In fact, I hardly call them radios. They're computers that talk, basically. When I first got into this department as a firefighter years ago, my radio was $400. Did you notice the price of these? They're around $8,000. So the price is going up rapidly, but it's something that we drastically do need. And the chief has done a fantastic job with the committees, making sure that we have the right stuff. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Dean? You muted yourself after you unmuted yourself.
Okay.
There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I don't have questions, it's more of a comment. I have spoken with some from public safety regarding these radios, and I know that there's not only the need, but our public safety officers are very much looking forward to these. And I believe that, we call you to your best every day, and you bring your best to us. And I believe it's our responsibility to give you the tools to do your best. Not being able to get a call if you're inside of the school or any of the schools, though that's not a way to function. And you keep us safe 24/7. So I think that this is, again, it's been a long time coming. We know that, and I'm excited about this to add to our public safety department. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Additional questions or comments on the new radio system? Not seeing anybody. Steve looks quiet in the cave. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Chief, for the explanation. You could probably geek out a little bit more. We'll do that offline when city's not all watching. With that, Ms. Harold, would you please call the roll on M6420?
Price,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Blanchard,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
Hennan,
Yes.
Turbrack.
Yes. We now move on to item number 4 on tonight's agenda.
Motion number M-65-20, matter of authorizing the city manager to sign the application for additional service credit purchase for Mark Pollock, approving 2 years of additional service credit. This service credit purchase is allowed by the City of Berkley Merit System of Human Resources Management, Section 1001.08, and meets all the requirements of the MERS plan document, which would allow for this service credit purchase.
Is there a motion to approve M6520?
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion to approve by Councilmember Baker with support from Councilmember Hennan. Mr. Baumgarten.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As the motion states, this is an allowable item under our merit system, which handles, essentially serves as the collective bargaining guide for all employees that aren't covered by the under the DPW or the public safety contract. So that does include the finance director, Mr. Mark Pollock. As you notice from the application or the agenda materials, there has been some initial calculations made. In total, this item is a purchase of about $41,000. Mr. Pollock will spend about $8,300 of his own money on this item, and the city would pay the balance of $33,411. That does sound like a lot of money initially, but if you were to calculate out the amount that the city would spend over the 2 years of actual service time, the city would actually be contributing about $75,000. So not only is this an allowable use, but under present dollars, there is actually a savings to the city as we contribute to this plan on behalf of the employee. Mr. Pollock has given us nothing but wonderful service in the short time he's been here, as you'll see by the upcoming presentation from our auditors, and we look forward to recommending to council that we initiate this item as requested. Mr. Pollock is here this evening if anyone has any questions.
Any questions from council members for either the city manager or for Mr. Pollock? We have seen a few of these recently. We understand the process. This is not a surprise, as long as it does not mean that Mr. Pollock tries to get away from us earlier. I am on board, and if I could work that into the contract, I would. Mark, anything you'd like to add? You feel free. You don't have to.
Nothing in particular. I appreciate the opportunity. I know most cities have some kind of service by option. Just so you know, I don't intend on leaving any earlier than I had originally planned. So, but it's a good opportunity.
We all heard it. We all heard it. It's on TV. It's done. Thank you. That's all I needed.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you so much, Mark. Again, any final questions before we hurry up and vote? Now that he said that? Okay. All right. Ms. Harold, would you please call the roll on M6520?
Baker,
Yes.
Blanchard,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
Hennan,
Yes.
Price,
Yes.
Turbrack.
Yes. M6520 has passed. Ms. Harold, would you please read item number 5 on tonight's agenda?
Ordinance number O-17-20, matter of considering the first reading of an ordinance of the Council of the City of Berkley, Michigan, amending section 138 through 222 of Division 1 of Article 4 of Chapter 138 zoning of the City of Berkley Code of Ordinances to permit permeable pavement for parking areas.
Is there a motion to approve O-1720?
So moved.
Support.
Motion made by Councilmember Baker with support from Councilmember Gavin.
Thank you.
Mr. Baumgarten.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is consistent with the conversation that we've been having for well over a year now. Permeable pavement was recommended in the presentation from Dr. Carpenter when he presented his Watertowns report from the Clinton River Watershed Council. This is also consistent with the work that we've been doing with the Oakland County Water Resource Commissioner's Office. It's been City of Berkley, their office, as well as a number of different communities that are in the George W. Kuhn Drainage District. We're all working on better ways of managing stormwater, and our ordinance currently doesn't allow for this particular item. And so Aaron Sluto went to work on amending the ordinance and moving it through our regular process in order to allow for this. It's a more modern approach, and one that is, I think, is going to help us manage stormwater on properties a lot better as it becomes more and more frequently used in the city of Berkley. And so, again, hoping that council considers approving this item.
I muted myself. Director Sluto, you are with us. Anything you would like to add?
No, not as much. The Planning Commission has been discussing this over the past couple months and held the required public hearing at the October Planning Commission meeting. This would allow them the authority to permit permeable pavement materials to be used in parking areas after the review and recommendation by the city engineer. So we want to make sure that any permeable pavement parking area is designed and executed appropriately to mitigate the stormwater issues that we have here in Berkley, and certainly not exacerbate any issues that we do have. We would have a site maintenance agreement to make sure that these areas are cleaned and maintained appropriately. So that way, again, it doesn't create any lasting problems for that property or any adjacent property.
All right, thank you. Questions and or comments from council members on the ordinance or our director or city manager? Does not appear to be many questions. This is something that obviously we have been looking at for a little while now. We've also received, I'm sure, some emails from residents that were very supportive of this and allowing the planning commission to have a little bit more control over permeable pavement for parking areas. Any additional, Jack's not on my front page anymore. Hold on, where'd he go? Just trying to see if there's anybody else.
No comment.
Okay, all right, thanks, Jack. Appreciate that. Okay, seeing no additional questions or comments, thank you for getting this together and for the Planning Commission getting this all in place for us this evening. Ms. Harold, would you please call the roll on O-1720?
Blanchard,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
Hennan,
Yes.
Price,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Herbrach.
Yes. Ms. Harold, would you please read item number 6 on tonight's agenda?
Public hearing. Matter of conducting a public hearing to receive public comments on the request by the developer 2219 Coolidge LLC to establish a commercial rehabilitation district in accordance with PA 210 of 2005 as amended in the city of Berkeley to include parcels numbers 25-18-431-030, 25-18-431-031, and 25-18-431-032 for the purpose of redeveloping the La Salette School for multifamily housing.
Okay. I will open the public hearing at 7:37. And very quickly, let me scroll back up. So if you are part of the Zoom with us and you would like to make a comment, please raise your hand. You will be recognized by Ms. Mathis. If you are calling in or just watching right now, please call 1-312-626-6799, and you will be recognized by either name or number. Public hearing is now open at 7:37.
Not seeing
Give it
anyone.
another,
Yeah.
okay, we'll give it another few seconds in case anybody is frantically trying to dial in here.
Yep.
Make sure
As
they
a
have an
reminder,
opportunity.
yeah, as a reminder for those in here, you're welcome to do this by the bottom dashboard through the raise your hand function, or if you turn on your video camera and raise your hand, I will nab you that way as well.
Okay, I'm looking at both pages. I don't see anything either. Seeing nobody rushing to comment at the public hearing, I will close the public hearing at 7:39. Okay, the public hearing is now closed. We now move on to item number 7 on tonight's agenda, please.
Resolution R-42-20. Matter of considering a resolution to establish a commercial rehabilitation district in accordance with PA 210 of 2005 as amended to include parcel numbers 25-18-431-030, 25-18-431-031, and 25-18-431-032 2022 for the purpose of redeveloping the La Salette School for multifamily housing.
Is there a motion to approve R 4220?
So moved.
Support.
Motion made by Councilmember Price with support from Mayor Pro Tem Dean. Mr. Baumgart.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the first of two items to come before you this evening as action items. This is creating a commercial district, which is going to include the parcel that the former La Salette school sits on, as well as the parcels that are included together to create the parking lot behind. The Public Act here would allow for an abatement of property taxes for development within this district, but it's not a full abatement. There are a couple of different things, types of millages, including debt, including some school some revenues that would still allow to be collected. But this would be a tool that would allow a developer to take an existing historic structure within the community and invest the type of monies that it needs to make it a viable new structure from the essentially from the outside in. That would include giving them the opportunity to address a couple of environmental issues when used together with the Brownfield Redevelopment Act. The applicant is here with you this evening, as well as representatives from PM Environmental, who initially put together the report you have in your packet, as well as the application itself. We are also expected to be joined by a representative from Oakland County as well, who handles this, who will be handling this, as well as the next item on the city's behalf. So I believe the applicant's representative this evening is Ryan, who I saw in here earlier. Ryan Higetchu. Ryan, I apologize if I said the name incorrectly. But they'll be the applicant presenting before the council this evening for this resolution.
Okay, thank you. Ryan, thank you for being with us this evening. Would you like to walk council through a little bit more?
Sure. Thanks for having us. I'd like to also invite Mr. Tom Herbst and Mr. Steve Freeman and Mr. John DePore, who are the members of the development team, and just kind of give you a quick overview on what the project entails and some of what their plans are for the building. I think that would be a good place to start. So, Tom, if you're there, I think you are.
Yeah,
I see Tom. There he is.
thanks, Ryan. Yeah, we're excited to be here tonight to take this project to the next step. As the council is aware, I'm sure we've been working on this for many years now, and we're excited to take it to the next level. I'll let Ryan get into the details of our specific request here shortly, but we just wanted to highlight many of the things that Matt also mentioned previously, in that when we started working on this project 4 years ago with the church, and were approached with the opportunity to redevelop the school and find a new use for it, it quickly became aware to us how special this building was to the community and how many people in the community had a connection to this building. And it really became clear to us that the best use for this property was going to be something that could retain as much of the structure as possible, try to retain as much of the architecture and the exterior of the building, and just renovate the interior. And so once we decided that was the path that made the most sense for everybody involved, for a number of iterations, we eventually landed on a multi-family use where we would renovate the interior of the building, end up with 54 apartment units, and completely retain the existing structure and, like I said, architectural features of the exterior and the facade. This made the most sense for everybody, kept the building that everybody has this connection with, as well as provides a housing opportunity that the city needs. As we decided to go down this, or as we went further down this path, as you can imagine, when dealing with a 70-year-old building, we ran into issues that you would not have if you were starting new construction from the ground up. As Matt mentioned, there were environmental issues, specifically asbestos cleanup and things of that nature, that caused this project going the renovation route to become more costly than it would if it was new construction. Thankfully, Ryan and his team at PM Environmental were able to help us identify 2 programs that exist just for this scenario that will help us offset some of these additional costs we're incurring to renovate this building and make it habitable for residents. And so that's what we're here to talk about today is these 2 programs that we're looking to take advantage of to help us offset some of these environmental remediation costs. I think we're talking about the PA 210 first. So I'll let Ryan kind of step in now and talk about what we're specifically looking to do here.
Okay. Thank you, Tom. The PA 210 is a commercial rehabilitation tax abatement, which essentially freezes the taxable value of the property to pre-development values for a period of 10 years. It does not include state school taxes. So those are not affected by the abatement. So over that 10 years, the taxable value that would be collected from the local taxes and the local millages would remain the same, despite the improvements that are made on the building and the property itself. This is the step 1 of a first of a 2-step process, and we have to create the district first, which identifies the parcels which would be eligible for a PA 210. The next step will come next year when we would file a certificate that requests this council to approve the actual abatement. And so once that process has undertaken itself, and if the city council is so kind to approve that, we would then send it on to the state on a date before October 1st of next year, and the abatement would take effect on January 2022. So like I said, this is the first step, creating the district at this point.
Okay, questions? Thank you, Ryan and Tom, for being with us, and Steve and John as well. Questions from council members for either Ryan or Tom or any of the other folks that are with us this evening representing the applicant? Councilmember Hennon?
Yes, so a question I have is there's been talk of development of townhomes as a second phase on the back half of the property. If that were to occur, would they also be covered under this abatement, or would that not be decided until we get to the certification step?
I can take that. So it all depends on when the certificate is filed. So if we file again on next year, and it takes effect on January 1st of 2022, the clock starts ticking. It will expire 10 years after that point. So anytime if that parcel stays vacant for that amount of time, there wouldn't be any benefit because there wouldn't be any improvement on that property. But if it was developed, say year 5 into that abatement, then it would only get a 5-year abatement because that's what would be remaining on the certificate. So it all depends on when that development happens relative to when the certificate is filed and accepted by the state.
Okay, thank you.
Additional questions? Councilmember Gavin?
Thank you, Your Honor. And just to follow up on Councilmember Hennon's question, so there's not a separate abatement vote like there would be for this one? It's just kind of a one fell swoop for all the parcels?
For the PA 210, so this just creates the district. According to the statute, the local unit of government has to establish what the district would be. So it would be a group of parcels that would be used for commercial or have a commercial purpose. And then at that point, then you can file a certificate which basically activates the abatement. So this is the first step in that process. Since the building has not gone through any kind of renovation at this point yet, we don't want to start that abatement process until we're closer to the finish date of the project.
Okay, thank you.
Additional questions from members of council?
I've got a question, Dan, if you can see me or not.
Oh, sorry, no, I cannot see you, but okay, Councilmember Blanchard, thank you.
The question I have is, in the past, this has been a school, like a church, excuse me, and we've gotten no tax revenue for it at all. Under this plan, when you're going to set a pre-construction value on it and pay tax on that value, is the city going to make more money now after we do this than we have been in the past? Are we going to get some tax money out of this?
Yes, thank you for
Mr.
your
Manager, yep. Oh, go ahead, Ryan, and then I'll let the city manager follow up.
Thank you for the question. The answer, the short answer is yes. So you're correct. This building was owned prior by a nonprofit organization, and the taxable value of that property was set at zero. Now that it has changed hands to a private, for-profit organization, one of the steps that we had to put together to get this in motion is to have a pre-development taxable value assessed on the property. And we had the Oakland County Equalization Department come in and do that for us. So they come through, they've assessed the building as it is currently, and that is the value that we are going to use to compute the taxes that will be collected on it. So I'm trying real hard to kind of not blend this in with the brownfield, which is the next on the agenda. But in concert with the brownfield, at the end of the day, there are some millages that are not captured by brownfield, but are abated by the PA 210. So I did the calculation on it just before our call, and I believe we will be over the abatement. The city will be collecting about $61,000 in local taxes related to the public safety pension millage, the school debt millage, the 2006 11-mile repair millage, the Art Institute, and the Zoo Authority.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Manager, would you have
Mr.
something
Mayor,
to
I
add there?
appreciate Ryan's response. I was going to address those topics specifically and note that the city would be getting revenues for those specific purposes.
Councilmember Hennon, I saw your hand up. Yep.
Yeah, I wanted to elaborate my understanding, and we can open to being corrected if my understanding of this is wrong, that to look at this, I think we do need to look at both pieces holistically, because while some parts of the tax aren't captured on with this tax abatement, it then gets captured in the brownfield. And so significant portions of the property tax we would normally expect to receive when you put the two together will not be coming towards the city.
Yes, that's correct.
Mr. Baumgarten, anything to add to that?
Just moving off of Councilmember Blanchard's question earlier, just reiterating the fact that this has been a non-taxable parcel for its entire existence. The city has not received any revenue on it, but this is a good middle ground that's being proposed between non-taxable and non-developable versus a termed abatement that has a very specific end period during which the city will still receive some revenues in hand, say for specific purposes. So it's all in all, this is a good development tool. It's not just something that would help a developer, but it also ends up yielding a little bit of additional revenues for the city as well while we wait on this to come to term. At that point, we would be able to capture the full value of this new investment.
Thank you. Additional questions and comments or questions from council members? Councilmember Baker.
Great, thank you. Hopefully I can come through okay here with candles on the table still. But yeah, from the DPA perspective, I thought I'd just share a couple of thoughts and then offer it up to our DDA director, who I believe is on the call with us, in case Ms. Finney would like to add or correct anything that I'm about to say. But I do understand that from all the years of Michigan Municipal League and working with the downtown, the Oakland County Downtown Association and all of the work that we've done with Main Street America. The notion, and I'm going to blend my comments with this in the next a little bit, but I'll try to keep them focused just on this thing. This is an incredible tool, the notion of this abatement and things, but it's meant to be wielded very carefully. Berkley has only done this twice before, to my knowledge. Back in 2007, we did these kind of things on 11-mile parcels. So this is our first time in the DDA district doing this this type of approach. So it's not brand new, but it has been a while. 2007 was a little bit ago. And so then it comes down to appropriateness of this project and the notion of setting precedents and those kinds of things. And that's where I've done some benchmarking around the magnitude of the project. Now, to be clear, there's no set minimum in order to be something to qualify for this, but perhaps we as a city can begin to formalize some sort of a threshold for future projects that may or may not be in consideration for this kind of treatment. No matter how you slice it, this is one of the biggest parcels that we have in the entire downtown. And so this would be on the big side of things. If we were to have a threshold where this very powerful tool would be appropriate, this thing would land on the positive side of that. So what I'm hoping to offer here, and then of course I'll defer to people far smarter than me in these kinds of things, is that Berkley has done these things before, although not in the downtown. But having looked at the magnitude of this project and the potential benefit that this will bring, not only after this fully actualizes in 10 years' time, but in the meanwhile, all of these new folks that are going to move into town are going to energize and activate additional activity and spend in the city itself. So we'll receive, and our businesses will receive a lot of additional benefits by the result of this project. So I was of two minds of this coming into this, and I think after doing that research and talking with some experts and doing some benchmarking, I'm feeling like this should be a good long-term investment for the city when you factor in the many benefits. Again, as long as we're careful to understand when this tool is appropriate to be used and when it just doesn't make sense. So I like to proceed with caution. So I'll be leaning in favor of this one, but I do want to ensure that perhaps in partnership with our planning director and our DPW for this magnitude of the projects, and of course the DDA to help establish what the guidelines are going forward, so that we can intelligently use this tool. And I mentioned at the onset that our DDA director is here with us tonight, I believe. And Jennifer, if you are with us, I'd love to hear your thoughts and help correct anything that I've gone way off the reservation on. It could be all the fumes from the candles coming in here. I'm not sure, but so anyway, thank you. I appreciate the time.
Thank you. And Jennifer is with us. I can see her on my screen. Jennifer, anything to add from the DDA's perspective?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you all. Steve actually put it, very nicely, so I won't take up too much of your time. I know I've been having several conversations with the DDA board about this. So at this time, we don't have, a set position. However, I can certainly say, this project would definitely, reactivate that part of Coolidge, which would greatly benefit the downtown and the entire city. So no matter what happens, that's something that the DDA is always looking forward to doing. And, to Steve's point, just, taking into consideration what this project can mean from, a city and a downtown standpoint, if it moves forward with the 45 apartment units, those individuals, would shop, dine, and attend, events in Berkley. And that, you can't really put, a dollar value to that, because that's, invaluable, getting more people, new people into the city.
Okay. Thank you, Jennifer, for being with us and for your comments. as it relates to the DDA. Additional questions, other council members, and I don't want to, Director Sluto, if you have anything you would like to add as well, Aaron, please don't hesitate. Councilmember Hennon, I saw your hand up.
Yeah. For me, the simple fact when I looked into this is that there are many studies from organizations right, left, and center that show business incentives like tax abatements just generally don't work, that any increases in economic development rarely offset the amount of tax given away. I know the applicant says that the application says this project won't go forward without the abatement. I can't know that for sure, but I'm skeptical that they would have spent 4 years and untold numbers of dollars to acquire this property, get the approvals they have gotten, and get to this point only to pull out now. I know during that 4 years, several times they've been told no, and they have found ways around it and still figured out how to make things work. So I have no fault to the developer for seeking to take every tax advantage available to them, but I can't in good conscience ask everyone else in the city to help put the bill on this. Now, if council as a whole disagrees with me and wishes to go forward, I would suggest only approving the parcel the school's on. Any additional development would be new construction, and the reasons the applicant's given for needing the abatement just don't apply to that new construction.
Okay, thank you. Aaron, did you have anything you wanted to add? No, Director Sluto?
Sorry,
No?
I couldn't
there you
find
go.
my unmute. No, I think we've all covered it, and Brian has been a wonderful resource to help us through these items this evening.
Okay. Any other questions or conversation on council before we call the roll on R42, which establishes the commercial rehabilitation district, again, which is going to be in conjunction with the next item as it relates to potential abatements. As Councilmember Baker mentioned, this is not the first time that we have done something like this, but it is the first time in over a decade that we have looked at something like this. And should we decide to move forward, I do think the city needs to have some sort of more formalized policy on what does potentially qualify it and what does not. I don't necessarily think that these things are going away. These are obviously not things that the city has come up with. Public Act 210 was not passed just in the city of Berkeley here. And if I am, looking at it as a developer, I mean, I certainly would look at all the potential ways that I could help the development that I was trying to create. So I certainly don't fault anybody for looking at creative ways to try to enhance not only the project. And our role is to weigh whether or not the benefits here outweigh the potential non-benefits, at least over a 10-year period to the city. And it's certainly not something that is ever an easy decision. I know this is something that there's been a lot of discussion on. I didn't mention in the first public hearing, but I was going to mention in the second public hearing, we have received communications from a number of residents that have opinions on this as well. I certainly don't want that to go unmentioned. I think it's important for that to be public here before council decides on any action. So before I call for a vote on this, are there any additional questions or clarifications that council members are seeking prior to being able to make a decision? Seeing nobody, Councilmember Blanchard, I don't see you, so I just want to make sure that I'm not missing you. If you did have anything else to add. He does not. Okay. Councilmember Price.
Oh, yes. One thing, since we are sort of discussing these two items together, I am interested in hearing a little bit more about the history within Berkeley for using like brownfield plans or TIFs, and how that has worked with the county overseeing that for us before my time. And I'd just like to hear a bit more about that perspective from the city manager or council members who are here during that time.
Mr. Baumgarten?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. The last time we utilized this went into effect in 2008. It was a building on 11 Mile that was substantially remodeled and into the headquarters or one of the branch offices for PM Environmental, as well as Strategic Energy Services, both of which are still in effect, both those businesses are still in Berkeley today and are full as any office and buildings are at the moment. They've been considered to be successful developments. The timing didn't work out well for the property owner, as you can think back to that era. The taxes, the TIF, because of the taxable value crisis of 2009, didn't quite yield the benefits that the applicant thought they would. So in 2017, the TIF came to terms there, and it was ended. But all in all, it was successful in redeveloping that structure. It was successful in bringing a modern office building to 11 Mile, which, as you can picture, 11 Mile, especially that section there as you approach Greenfield, it has a number of older buildings that have a post-industrial look to them. And then you come to this more modern office building, which was, which was a brownfield project. And that was brownfield only, and the county ended up administering that program on our behalf. Brad Henson is slated to join us. He's with another community right now, but essentially what OCBRA does is they handle the billing of the communities. So we still collect taxes, and we handle the billing. They administer the appropriate paperwork, documentation. They continue to interface with the developer throughout and give them financial updates on how their repayments going from their initial investment. Thankfully, the Oakland County is able to provide that as a service to the community.
And just
Councilmember
a
Hennan?
follow up to
Sorry. One second. Go ahead, Natalie. Go ahead.
If the cost to rehabilitate those environmental concerns, the reason that the applicant is asking for this, if they don't exceed that amount of taxable value, what happens? How does that affect this agreement?
It is a risk that the developer potentially takes. This is a termed item, and so if the taxable value projections don't yield what they thought they would, then ultimately they wouldn't be able to recoup their entire investment as they proposed at the onset.
Thank you.
Councilmember Hennan?
Yeah, so hearing about this previous TIF and the previous PA 210, and that because of the economic situation, not as much was gained by it as expected, yet the business that did it is still here, is still highly successful. It all worked out. Just reemphasizes to me my no vote and why I do not think this is necessary. Thank you.
Okay. Any additional comments before we call for the roll on R4220? Mr. Baumgarten, go ahead.
Ms. Mayor, I just want to note, in case I left anybody with the wrong impression, those are two completely separate applicants and two completely separate projects. The 2008 project is not related to what's on the table this evening.
Correct. Okay, seeing no additional council members raising their hands or coming to speak, Ms. Harold, would you please call the roll on R4220?
Dean,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
Hennan,
No.
Price,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Blanchard,
Yes.
Turbrack.
Yes. R 4220 has been approved. Ms. Harold, would you please read item number 8 on tonight's agenda?
Public hearing. Matter of conducting a public hearing to receive public comment on the brownfield plan in accordance with PA 381 of 1996 as amended, that includes parcel numbers 25-18-431-030, 25-18-431-031, and 25-18-431-032 for the purpose of redeveloping the Lassalette School for multifamily housing.
Okay, I will open the public hearing at 8:10 p.m. The public hearing is now open again. The same rules apply. If you would like to comment and you are here, please raise your hand or use the chat function down at the bottom to raise your hand so Ms. Mathis can see you. If you would like to call in, please feel free to dial in at 1-312-626-6799. That should get you into the meeting as well. And I do want to comment now that the public hearing is open again that we did receive communications from a number of residents on this, and I mentioned it before, but I want to mention it during the public hearing as well regarding this item and the prior hearing as well. But I want to make sure that that is in, and we're all aware of that. I know you all, I'm sure, have seen the emails. Okay, Ms. Mathis, do we see anybody for the public hearing?
I am not seeing any hands raised virtually or in the video screen at this time.
All right, we will give it another minute just to make sure if somebody is trying to get in that they can. No? Okay, seeing nobody looking to comment at the public hearing, I will close the public hearing at 8:12 p.m. And we will move on to item number 9, please, Ms. Harold.
Resolution R-43-20. Matter of considering a resolution to approve the brownfield plan in accordance with PA 381 of 1996 as amended, that includes parcel numbers 25-18-431-030, 25-18-431-031, and 25-18-431-32 for the purpose of redeveloping the Lassalette School for multifamily housing.
Is there a motion to approve R 4320?
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion to approve by Mayor Pro Tem Dean with support from Councilmember Gavin. Mr. Baumgarten?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Second of two tied items here on the redevelopment of the Lassalette School. The resolution you have before you this evening would have us participating under Oakland County's Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. The city doesn't have its own specific designated area for this, but the county does. So what would happen under this is by joining with the Oakland County Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, as the resolution states, the authority would collect an administration fee of $5,000 per year annually for the length of the brownfield plan, which is attached in your packet. And then that is determined by the fee and complexity of the project. So that's actually a determination that Oakland County made on this. What they would do is then capture 100% of the eligible cost for this project and ensure that the oversight is handled correctly per the law and per their adopted standards at Oakland County. So this is actually a large benefit to the city. This is not something that we have to directly oversee ourselves under what is being proposed this evening. because these, again, this is going to be long term. This is take up to 12 years. And so they're actually offering the chance to have it administered separately, and again, not just to burden city staff with this over the next dozen years or so. The brownfield plan itself is separate from the topic that we just discussed. As Ryan mentioned, this does come to you by way of very exact financials as well as millage breakdowns on what is affected and what isn't. The table 2 and table 3 included as the appendix of the brownfield plan actually lays out year by year and millage by millage how much the city will be cost sharing with the various other taxing entities, including the county and state resources as well. Again, this is going to overlay over the district that was just created on the previous agenda item here. It is a complementary financing tool in order to see this project through.
Ryan, are you going to be running a little bit here as well, or are we moving away from you?
I'm here. I just, yeah, just to kind of, just a couple, things to kind of just add to that. The costs that we're looking to get reimbursement for through the brownfield program are the selective demolition of the internal part of the building, as well as some of the very minor site demolitions. There's a pavement that needs to be replaced back there behind the building that needs to be taken out, which is eligible under the statute. That will also facilitate the stormwater system that they'll be installing. The other part is the asbestos abatement activities. That building is old. It has asbestos-containing materials within it that needs to be abated before any any construction work can be undertaken. So, as part of the statute, those costs have a 15% contingency on it. So we put that on there, and then the total amount of eligible costs is $718,000. The duration of the plan is 11 years based on our current estimates. The city will the county will add another year to it to get some capture for their local brownfield revolving fund that they administer. And then let's see, what else do I have for you? After the approval of this council, hopefully we will be going before the cities or the councils. I'm sorry, the Oakland County Brownfield Redevelopment Authority Council to get the approval of the plan at the county level. So that would be happening. We're estimating that on December 3rd.
All right, thank you, Ryan. Again, this is separate from the item that we just discussed, but they do work together. Some of the comments may apply here. But council, additional questions, comments on this particular item? It appears that we have kind of joined our conversation from 1 into 2. I just want to make sure that we have an opportunity, if there is something specific here, to make sure everybody has an opportunity. Councilmember Blanchard, I still cannot see you, but I just want to make sure that I have not missed you.
No comment this time.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Baker.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a comment to thank the county for their partnership in these kinds of initiatives. Certainly, we don't have our own Brownfield Development Authority. Some municipalities do, but given Berkeley's layout here, if you were to look at a map, I'm not sure that setting up a whole formal structure makes a lot of sense. And so, moving forward on these kind of rare circumstances, given the bird that we have in hand, which I think is a really nice one, I want to thank the county for being a good partner with us if we do move forward with this tonight. So more of just a comment than a question. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. It does not appear that anybody else has any additional comments outside of what was already discussed? So seeing no additional hands raised, Mr. Baumgarten, anything else you want to add to this conversation?
I can only convey apologies from Brad Hansen of the county, who's actually stuck on another council meeting's agenda this evening. Otherwise, he would have been here to represent the county himself and answer any questions. But he will make himself available moving forward for any council members who have direct questions as well.
Yes, in case you couldn't tell, I was vamping only a little bit to try to see if would be able to make it, and unfortunately it appears that the other municipality has taken him this evening, but yes, certainly will be available to answer any questions should they arise from members of council. Seeing no other comments, Ms. Harold, then would you please call the roll on R 4320?
Gavin,
Yes.
Hennon,
No.
Price,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Blanchard,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Turbrack.
Yes. We now move on to the next item on our agenda this evening, which is the second opportunity for public comments. Again, this is for items that were not covered on tonight's agenda. The same rules as before apply, 3 minutes. But if your concern, again, needs to be addressed by a member of city staff, please make sure to email the clerk's office at clerk@berkleymich.net or call the clerk's office at 248-658-3310. If you would like to comment, please raise your hand if you are here. If you're not here, again, that phone number, again, 312-626-6799. You will be recognized by name or number when you speak. Please state your name and city of residence. And Ms. Mathis, I will again throw it over to you. Seeing nobody right now, give it another minute just to make sure. If anyone's trying to get in, we give everybody opportunity. Okay, seeing nobody coming to comment. I hear something. Is that me or is that an echo?
That's you. There's a slight
Oh,
echo.
I'm echoing now?
Just a
Oh,
slight.
okay. I apologize. I apologize for that. If that was happening the entire meeting, I really apologize. That's bad enough hearing me once, and twice and 3 times is probably too much for people to take. Seeing that nobody would like to comment, probably in part due to my echoing, we will close the second public comments portion and we will move on to communications. And before we get to communications, again, there is another item on our agenda. It is a closed session. We'll talk about this again at a moment, but no, we are not done after communications today, but there will be no action that council will be taking after that closed session. I will remind everybody of that one more time. But we now move to communications, and Ms. Harold, I apologize, who is up first? Or is it dealer's choice?
Yeah, dealer's choice.
Okay, we will start over at the end of the table. Councilmember Gavin, you can begin.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Real quick, this report. So just about upcoming meetings that we have. We've got the Planning Commission will meet next Tuesday, the 24th at 7 p.m. Environmental Advisory Committee will meet this Thursday, the 19th at 6:30. And Master Plan Steering Committee will meet tomorrow, the 17th at 7 p.m. Links to all are on the city calendar, and everybody stay safe and wear your mask, and we'll get through this this most recent uptick. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Gavin. Councilmember Hennon.
Thank you. First, with the Zoning Board of Appeals, the Sunoco at 12 and Coolidge, some people may know that better as Mr. Kebabs, they were denied a request to change the signage on the canopy above their gas pumps. I also made a presentation on making legally defensible zoning and planning decisions. And in finishing that, I finished the requirements for Master Citizen Planner credentials at Michigan State University. So both that meeting and my presentation are available on the city's YouTube channel. So with this, it's the same training that we've asked the Planning Commission and the ZBA members to complete, though they don't have to make a presentation unless they want to. The tree board, 120 street trees were ordered for this year and will be planted probably in December. The board's also discussing strategies on how to get more trees in our parks, especially in the updated Merchant Oxford Park, to make sure we have trees as we redevelop that area. I wanted to thank Asia Delton, and she's a professor at MSU, and thank her students. They've created a tree guide for the city. It lists all the known species of street trees that we have and how to identify them. You can get that tree guide from the tree board page on the city website, or it's at berkleymich.org/Berkley Tree Guide. And Berkley Tree Guide is all one word. Then on Saturday, there was a presentation called Trees, Trees, Trees by John Cahoon from MSU. And it was extremely informative, going over tree identification, planting, disease, maintenance. And that session was recorded and it should be on the city's YouTube channel by now. And I also want to just mention, with COVID growth, everyone please be safe, stay home, stay masked up when you can't, and we'll get through this soon. Thanks.
Thank you, Council Member Hennon, and congratulations on completing your certification as well. We now move on to Mayor Pro Tem Dean.
Thank you, Your Honor. First, as a Berkeley business owner, I want to thank the Berkeley community for your year-round support of all businesses, and I ask that you please continue to provide that support to our downtown businesses as we move forward during this time. Parks and Recreation ran 2 successful socially distant Halloween events in October, and both of these events were great examples of collaboration within our city. The first one was with the Junior Women's Club, and the second one was with Berkeley Dads Club, Berkeley Youth Assistance, the Steelers, and the Moms Club. And I know that we are very appreciative of all the participants, the groups of volunteers, and everyone who made the event safe and fun for all. Work on Oxford Merchants Park this calendar year will be complete in the next few weeks, and all 2020 work is on target, which will allow early spring 2021 work to be completed. So things are moving along very well there. I do have a prepared statement from Parks and Recreation that I would like to read. And the part that is as follows: the Parks and Recreation team is currently deliberating on how we will be adapting to the recently issued public health orders given by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. However, at this time, we will be closing for the 3-week pause per the public health orders starting Wednesday, November 18th, and will reassess after the order is lifted. Additionally, our current senior transportation schedule will continue through Thanksgiving. After the holiday, we will be shifting the schedule to Tuesday and Thursday. Transportation will also be for grocery shopping and doctor appointments only. As a reminder, masks are still required to ride on the Smart Bus. Parks and Recreation thanks you for your patience as they navigate through the new order. And lastly, I want to tell you about my bright spot in 2020. It was on November 5th when I became a grandmother, and I want to welcome Anderson Michael to this crazy world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and congratulations. I know how excited you and that gentleman Mike are by this. Moving on, let's see if I remember. I believe Councilmember Baker, you would normally be sitting next to me on the other side.
Sure, and it's always a pleasure, Your Honor, and congratulations again to you, Ms. Dean. I think that's fantastic. I'll try to take a page from my colleague, Mr. Gavin here, and just breeze through a couple of timing updates. Historical Committee met last week's Tuesday, the 10th, and sadly, the museum will be closing along with pretty much everything else here for a while. We want to take care of our volunteers as well as our residents and interested folks. Thank you for the mug right there. I love the product placement, Mr. Mayor. That was fantastic. Yay! The Technology Advisory Committee had month. It was a bi-month for them. You may know that many of the committees take bi-monthly schedule. They will be getting together again on December 16th. The Downtown Development Authority, however, continues its monthly charge. They met on the 11th, and they will resume again on December 9th. There are still activities scheduled through the downtown to the best of our business's ability. Please check downtownberkeley.com for any additional information about specific events and ways that you can enjoy the city while remaining safe. And finally, it was Martin Luther King who said, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." And I'm sure I won't be the last to congratulate this entire city for its participation in the recent election, where things really do matter, and especially to extend congratulations to our city clerk, the deputy clerk, the entire staff, and all the folks that did such great preparation to lead up to having over 80% participation rate of eligible voters. It's absolutely fantastic. Hopefully I didn't steal anyone else's thunder, but it's been certainly a recent highlight, the degree to which our community understands what's important and takes every step possible to stay engaged and do so as safely as possible. I know it's a tough time out there right now, so please, as my colleagues have urged, be safe, take care of yourself, take care of your families. These will be a weird holiday period here that we find ourselves coming into, but do your best, enjoy the moment, and we'll get through this together. Berkeley strong. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Council Member Baker, for those words, and also you and Mayor Pro Tem Dean having to find alternative ways to be with us this evening without power in your neck of the woods. Hopefully that happens soon. I appreciate the candles and your commitment to being with us as well. We now move to Council Member Price.
Yes, thank you. I also want to thank the city clerk and the deputy clerk and all the city staff who successfully pulled off yet another record-breaking election during a global pandemic. We are so grateful for the essential part that you play in our safe and secure election process. Our library continues to offer curbside pickup and home delivery of materials, as well as many digital resources. Reliable and free internet is also available in the library parking lot. I personally know a few families who used it from their vehicles today for school and work. Anybody else out of power? You have free internet available if you want to hang out in your car at the library. So we're grateful for that resource today and always. The Beautification Advisory Committee will be giving out their Holiday Spirit Awards again this year for the most festively decorated homes. Members of that committee will begin canvassing the city in early December, and you can also email them to make sure that your house is not missed. The Beautification Advisory Committee's email address is berkeleybac@gmail.com. Again, berkeleybac@gmail.com. And just a note of gratitude for all of the tough calls being made by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, by the Berkeley School Board, by Berkeley's department heads, and by volunteer organizers of events, big and small. This holiday season, we must find ways to connect from afar in order to keep each other safe. Let's all do our part to keep Berkeley strong. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Price. Councilmember Blanchard. Oh, I can see you now. Okay, you're back.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Just a couple of quick things. Been working closely with the chamber and with the DDA to provide updates on the ever-changing scene coming out of Lansing on the regulations. So forwarding all that information, and they are doing both a wonderful job keeping our businesses informed and helping our businesses stay in business. From the Public Safety Department, Matt Kane didn't mention it, but our new engine, Squad 4, is currently in service. You may have seen it on the street. So now we have 3 pieces of fire apparatus in our station. Our station is full, and we should be able to better serve the citizens of Berkley with this new Squad 4. And as we go back into a time for the next 3 weeks and probably longer, where we're going to be hunkering down a little more, please watch for your neighbors, make sure that they don't need help, stay alert, make sure everybody is taken care of. Now, just stay safe, stay home, and let's get through this. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilmember Blanchard. Mr. Baumgarten.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As has been mentioned, we've had to make some difficult choices to close some of our services to the public, but do want to reassure everyone that while even though City Hall is closed to the public, city staff continues to work and provide services for the community as a whole. Just because our doors are closed doesn't mean we've all gone home. I can assure you of that. There are still plenty of ways to engage with city staff, whether that's through email, through phone, through mail, or through the Dropbox. We still have staff available to help you through any situation that you come through that you would normally go to City Hall staff in order to remedy. So we can still take payments. We can still help process permits. The city clerk's office is still available to answer questions, as is the city manager's office, treasury, finance. We are still here for you, even if you can't physically come in the building. And while we regret having to do that, it is the best choice to make to ensure that our staff are able to do their job and continue to provide those crucial services. So, we can't wait to see you guys again. We apologize we can't see you for the time being. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney?
Thank you, Mayor. I will be talking at you in a few minutes in the closed session, so I'll just confine my remarks for now to congratulating Grandma Dean, and also just wishing everybody best wishes really for a happy and healthy and safe Thanksgiving. And as others have said too, perhaps if we all pitch in and try to be careful and do the right thing, we may get this thing through, get through this in a few weeks rather than a far more extensive period. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Attorney. Gina, I know you're pinch hitting. Is there anything that you had or anything that Victoria had for communications?
Not in particular, but I'm just, the election was really a difficult one this time, but I'm glad it's over.
Well, thank you, Gina. And it was, and my comments will roll right into that. Councilmember Baker mentioned, you hope he wasn't stealing anybody's thunder by congratulating the clerk's office. And this is one of those instances where there can be no thunder stolen from any of us, because all the thunder here is very well deserved. Victoria, Gina, and the entire staff, you all deserve congratulations and kudos on an incredibly well-run election season. And as you know, it's election season now. It's not just election day, as we saw this year, that it's the additional outreach, accessibility, helping people register, additional hours, making sure that folks could vote by mail if they wanted to, absentee, or even in person with no issues. And especially in the year where we had over 80%, as was mentioned, turnout to vote, which is absolutely incredible, something I'm incredibly proud of our entire community. But Victoria, Gina, and I know the rest of the City Hall staff, and especially the city manager's office, was very heavily involved in this. And I think it's something that the city can all be very proud of, the way that our election was run, and that our results were in a very, very timely manner on election night. There was no reason to go extensions, and I've not seen any suits coming the city of Berkeley's way, so that's good. The city manager and I attended a Zoom meeting last week with the county, county executive Coulter and his team, to connect on a few items, but obviously the drastic increase of COVID-19 was the main point of discussion. And, you know, the folks that were there were looking for some direction from the experts on what is the best course of action. Now, this was prior to the MDHHS issuing their pause. But I will say that a lot of folks had questions and were looking for leadership on what is actually the best course of action. And it seemed to me that, well, the county was very supportive and had lots of information. They drew the line at saying this is what you should or shouldn't do. And I think they were waiting for the state to probably make some sort of decision. And then we saw that from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services issuing the 3-week pause. And that specifically, you know, is really trying to target those indoor social gatherings and other group activities in an attempt to curb the COVID infection rates that are drastically increasing. Now, this is a little different than the first time. This is not, you know, the blanket stay-at-home order like we saw in the spring. So folks who are not able to work from home are still able to work. But the indoor gatherings that seem to be the main culprits in spreading the infection are really the prime targets of this order. And unfortunately, yes, that does include the Thanksgiving holiday. And it's like the rest of 2020, pretty much since March on. Not what we want, not what we envision, but something that we all have to deal with and do our best to stay safe. The order limits, you know, indoor residential gatherings to 2 households, strongly urges families to pick a single other household to interact with over the next 3 weeks. So again, things will be different, but we need to do our part to try to stop the spread of COVID-19, certainly keeping our masks on and keeping sanitizer and you know, whenever you're around anybody who isn't part of your household, you have to make sure that we have a mask on, not only for you, but for all the other folks that are around us. And look, I can promise I don't think any of us are going to forget 2020, but hopefully we'll be able to move back to normalcy in 2021, but we need to make sure that we get there as healthy as possible. You know, in going back to differences in 2020, just last meeting, we had to cancel our holiday lights parade and tree lighting ceremony, which is my absolute favorite event of the year. It was incredibly sad and difficult, and you know, we had conversation about it because Santa Claus visits the children of Berkley. And I've heard from a number of kids, including my own, asking, you know, if Santa's not going to visit Berkley, will he still be able to visit on Christmas Eve this year? Well, kids, it's 8:42. I don't know if any of you are still awake or watching, but I do have some good news for you. Cinda Kuhn, the head of our parade committee, Santa Claus and I hopped on a Zoom meeting this week to really discuss what the options would be. And let me tell you, Santa was devastated to hear that we had to cancel the parade, but he also agreed that it was the right decision. Look, Santa can't risk getting sick, and he can't risk infecting his elves in early December when he knows that he's got a very busy month ahead of him, especially as close to Christmas as we are. But just because we can't have the parade, that doesn't mean that Santa can't safely still visit our city. I have it on good authority from the big man himself that Santa is still going to visit the wonderful children in Berkley before he visits again on Christmas Eve. Now, you won't be able to sit on his lap, but you will be able to see him and wave to him very safely. And if everything works out, you won't even have to leave your house for this. We're still working out the details, but Santa told me that on December 5th, he does plan to still make a special trip through Berkley. So be on the lookout, kids. That means you still have to be good. And I will make sure that my children certainly adhere to that as much as possible. We now have another item up on our agenda. Ms. Harold, would you please read item number 10?
Closed session. Matter considering whether to meet in closed session to consult with the city's attorneys regarding trial or settlement strategy in connection with specific pending litigation, namely Duke and Donkey versus Berkley, Oakland County Circuit Court case number 2017-157-459-NZ, and Jacob versus Berkley, Oakland County Circuit Court case number 2019-178-474-NZ.
Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Support.
Motion made by Councilmember Hennon with support from Councilmember Baker. Ms. Harold, would you please call the roll in going into closed session? Again, before you do that, a reminder to everybody who is watching or with us, there will be no action taking place after the closed session. We will be disappearing into a secret location. And when we return, we will come back here, but it will simply be to formally adjourn the meeting. So there will be no action taking place after the closed session. Okay. With that, Ms. Harold, would you please call the roll?
Hennon,
Yes.
Price,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Blanchard,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
Herbrat.
Yes, we will now recess into closed session. We are going to call the November 16th regular meeting back to order. And Ms. Harold, would you please do a quick roll call? You're muted if you're saying names.
Blanchard,
Yeah. Here.
Dean,
Here.
Gavin,
Here.
Hennon,
Here.
Price,
Here.
Baker,
Here.
Herbrat.
Okay, I am here, and I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Your Honor.
Support.
Support.
Motion made by Councilmember Baker with support from Councilmember Blanchard. Ms. Harold, would you please call the roll one more time?
Okay. Dean,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
Hennon,
Yes.
Price,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Blanchard,
Yes.
Herbrat.
Yes, the November 16th regular meeting is adjourned. And Natalie's got
everyone.
something on fire in front of her.